Good morning. So this is a great opportunity here. We are doing another Unstoppable People story, and I have today Kristen Madison, and her business is called the Madison Coaching Collaborative. She's a phenomenal business coach. And so what we're doing today is Kristen's going to tell a story about her being unstoppable. I love hearing these stories. They're, really you see what people are made of when they may have faced some obstacles, maybe, the options looked grim and yet someone kept going because they had a vision. They knew who they were. They knew what they wanted to accomplish, and they made it happen. So I'm excited to hear what your story is.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, Sherri. So I would say my unstoppable story goes back to my days in working in corporate America, working in corporate HR. I had been promoted to a great job in the DC area, and the job was eliminated within a matter of weeks after I moved up there. I relocated. And
Wow.
so that was a pretty daunting moment. So so after the job was eliminated, they moved me to a job that nobody wanted, which was about 30 miles away from where I was living. And so I had to commute from where I was living in Maryland to the suburbs of Virginia. And it was a job that nobody wanted because it was a unionized facility. I was the HR person and then became the labor relations person. And nobody wanted to deal with the union. Union was tough. So got in there, and I had the job for about a year, and I negotiated with my new boss. I said, I'm going to give it 1 year, and then I'd like the opportunity to move on. So we get in there, I get in there, and I start to build a pretty good relationship with the local union rep, local union stewards. And, over time, I actually became really good friends with a lot of those people. And so much so that when it got to become time for negotiations, they really kind of looked to me to give the behind the scenes company take on what the company was thinking about negotiations, where it was going, that kind of thing. And I didn't really hear a peep out of my boss or my boss's boss about how good of a job I was doing, because, normally when you don't hear anything from the boss, you assume you're doing well.
Right.
So what that led to is when my year was up, and again, I was in DC, I wanted to come back home to Atlanta. This is where my family was. And I realized, this is probably where I needed to be in Atlanta. So I applied for a more senior job within labor relations. And it was a jump for me. Had never done the job, and interviewed and finally got the job. And it helped that I have had relationships with the people that I'll be working with in the job that I was applying for. And so I got the job, which was great. And there was a director a couple steps above me in the new job who said, "You have 1 year to turn this team around." And it was actually a team of my former colleagues. I used to be on the team, and then I came back to lead the team.
Oh, wow.
He said, "You have 1 year to turn it around, or else you're out." So
don't you just love corporate America?
Love it. Like, it's gonna give me just one and done.
Yeah.
So one thing I forgot to say is before I came back from DC, I negotiated an agreement with that same union. They had a facility out in Hawaii, and there was a history of never really getting what they call handshake agreements, none of that. So I the last day of negotiation, we were 6 hours behind East Coast time. I called my boss and I said, "We got a handshake," and she could not believe it. So I had momentum going into this new job. So just moving into the new job, it was rough in the beginning. We had a contract negotiation coming up. I knew all eyes were on me, but I felt like I really just needed to pull within myself the experience and the knowledge and confidence within myself in order to pull this job off. So I believe I had a great team, had great relationships with the union because I had known them before. Had a great relationship with my boss, and my boss's boss, still kind of had an eye on me as far as whether I'd be successful. So just fast forward to the contract negotiations. We negotiate with them, and the negotiations were tough, but we did get another agreement. That the union body voted for the agreement, and I also realized that as I progressed through the job, there was silence from the powers that be about how I was doing. Nobody really tells you in that situation when you're doing a good job. They just have their eyes on you.
Yeah.
As to when you're doing a bad job, and they will tell you that.
Yeah.
So I realized that silence was kind of the approval, and I really believe when I got that job, when I got that marker of, hey, you have 1 year to turn it around, at that point I think I became unstoppable, and I began to just really pull on everything that I had within me, everything that I learned in law school and HR and in employee relations, to kind of pull myself through. And also because I know I had for lack of a better phrase, I had the ear of the people. The union folks listened to me. The employees listened to me. I had built great relationships with them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I had all that pushing behind me. And when you have that unstoppable feeling, that you just call on everything that you have within you.
Yeah.
And I actually hired a coach when I got that notice about 1 year. I hired my own coach because they didn't give coaches to people of my level at that time. I hired a coach, and he helped me get through and just really partnered with me on making sure that I was successful in that job. And I kept him even after I left corporate. I kept him for a couple of years as I opened the small business that I own now, as well as my coaching business. And coaching is just an additional boost to anybody who wishes to have that unstoppable feeling. It's just a continuous support. And I don't think I could have done, I think I could have done what I did, but the coach just gave it, extra icing on the cake to help me pull myself through.
So I think you became unstoppable when you got to DC and then they told you your job was not going to happen. I think, a lot of people would have said, see ya.
Right.
Right. So that's the first thing. And then I think that, the message here is that when you choose to be unstoppable, get a coach, because, you drive yourself, and, having that support is invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could not have been clearer for me at that moment how powerful coaching was in my life, personally and professionally.
Yeah. And I'm sure that experience has had a great influence in now how you coach, and you bring all of that into your coaching. So I love the story. It's a great story.
Thank you.